Okay, so we'll get started. Thank you for watching, for being here. If you are here live or if you're listening, and if you're watching the replay later, thank you so much for your time. And I hope that you can find value in this information. This all was started when I went through my mentor's course, Robert Hollis, Mastering the Science of Getting Rich. Because then I went on to research more of Wallace Wattles' books, and I fell in love with him. And now this is The Science of Being Well. And we are already on chapter 10, and now it's getting into the good stuff, because this is the stuff that, my husband always says, there's a natural way to do this. You can be healthy and, be balanced naturally, if we can connect with how we naturally do it. And so he's been saying for years that there's a way. So I'm pretty excited, because I was sharing with him yesterday, babe, I found the way. This is it. Like, this is it. Let's put it in that practice and let's go with it. So a practical guide and a handbook for finding and just realizing that we have a source of health within us, and that it doesn't have to be something outside of us that we seek to attain or obtain, that we can just accept that we already have a gift of health and well-being and wellness in whatever area of our body or our overall who we are, physical, spiritual, mental, obviously, so many different areas. So this is actually a science. It bases it on, not on speculation, but that this is actually a scientific way that we can do these different actions. And today is going to cover when to eat. And you'll see me looking up, because I have my notes right above me on my computer. So I kind of thought of this neat little thing. This is a prescription for that certain way. It's our physical prescription. It's our prescription on when to eat, that keeps it pretty simple. If you've already read through this at all, you'll see that it compares this in this chapter, hunger to appetite, and that it specifies that it's hunger is when we should eat, not when we merely have an appetite for something, but only when we're actually hungry. So interesting. So there are these voluntary actions that we take, and we know they are eating, drinking, breathing, and sleeping. But it actually says that when to eat is one of the more impactful ones, because our food actually becomes who we are. We actually become our food. I listened to this mystic called Sadhguru, and he always talks about how we eat a banana, and the banana becomes a physical body. Like, the banana becomes a person. And if you think about it, it does. It's crazy how that happens, how our bodies know how to turn food into energy, turn food into muscle. It's amazing. Our bodies can do so much, already that we don't even pay attention to, like digesting our food, making babies, when we get pregnant. That's a huge one, obviously, but it's just proof in the big things that our bodies know what to do. So now we're going to put that into practice with eating, and we're only going to eat when we're hungry. So how do we know when we're hungry, and what does that mean, being hungry? So that feeling, that sensation that we get for food is because our bodies need to build new cells. So our hunger is to feed our body. And this chapter, there's this actually at one of the statements it says is, this is obedience to God. Because we're listening to what our body is naturally telling us to do. And as we listen to what our bodies naturally tell us to do, that in turn, that's listening to God, because God is the one that's giving us those, that knowing. So being obedient to him, that's pretty powerful. So we're building new cells. So hunger means that more material is needed to repair and renew the body. And it also says keep up our internal heat. So digestion is definitely, it creates heat within us. So we need that heat to keep our bodies functioning in a normal way. So it also goes into a description here. It talks about how eating when you're not hungry can cause digestive issues, and it actually says cause numberless evils. Like, that's powerful. Like, evil, it's evil. It will cause evils on us. And I do believe then that goes into like disease and just weight toxicity are ways that our bodies can get kind of stopped up, basically. Because what happens is if we're eating, and it describes in this chapter, if we're eating when we're not hungry, truly hungry, then our bodies will start to, well, it'll process the food the best that it can, but because our body isn't calling for the food, it'll eventually begin to have problems digesting it, because your body's not actually hungry and calling for it, but yet you're still eating. So really big, because it goes into detail then, okay, on when. So it says it's very common for us actually not to eat until even noon sometimes. Now, this is going to get controversial, because there are people that say you got to eat right away in the morning. You got to start your digestion off right. And I will admit that I've been on all different kinds of eating, all different kinds of plans. And I was on that plan and it worked fine. And I'm not on that plan right now. I find I don't even get hungry until closer to like mid-morning or noon. And that's working fine too. So I do believe that the science behind this is valid, and that the only way for us to know is to actually put it into practice every day, to decide, that we're not going to eat until we actually earn a hunger. And, it says it's common even for people that are working, that are out there, exerting their energy, to not eat until noon or, later in the morning, versus right when you wake up. So sleeping doesn't cause hunger. So what happens is in the mornings, and I know myself included at times, you feel that drive to eat right away when you wake up. So according to this, that's just our appetite, and it's based on habit. And it's more to gratify our sensation, a sensation versus hunger. It's just an appetite. And it actually compares it to the drunkard's appetite for liquor, and how, you can't have a hunger for that. That's actually, indeed is an appetite for that response that the liquor gives, right? Super powerful. And then obviously it goes into talks about the cravings for candy and sweets and that kind of stuff. And that's where you hear people talk a lot about that. And well, what about my cravings? And what do I do about that? Well, according to this book, it says you don't eat. If you're having a craving like that, where it's for a candy, a sweet, something that's not going to grow your body and actually give you life energy, if it's not going to do that, according to this book, the scientific principle here, it says do not eat. And that, our appetite is largely a matter of habit. So that means that we can change that. If we have cravings, or if we have, an appetite for things that aren't serving us, whether it be food or habits, whatever it is, the beautiful thing about that is we can change it. We do have control over that. And, get into a habit of desiring what does grow us and what does feed us. And he even talks about here, I put a note about, he noted about people protesting in the morning, saying, no, we have to eat in the morning, like people that go to the gym and stuff and work out and all that right away. They'll say, they need their food. Now, so, if you are more active, then you will probably need to eat earlier than other people that aren't. So, it's very specific per person. Everybody has their own different activity level, what they do based on their time of day. If they start working at 6 a.m., they're going to be, earning a hunger earlier than like me, that I am not physically active until, probably later in the day even. So, and then it actually gives some resources, writers, that if you want to read more on food specifically and on this part of it, you can look. Oh wait, this was on the whole book, actually. Sorry. So anyway, our authors that talk about more of what Wallace Wattles, I guess, where he gets his information and stuff. So Horace Fletcher and Edward Dewey, Dewey. And then Wallace Wattles has pamphlets. It says, it calls them, I think it called them booklets or something like that. So little booklets called New Science of Living and Healing, Letters to a Woman's Husband, and the Constructive Use of Foods. So those will be interesting to look up. I haven't looked those up yet, but that would be something else to step into. What I've been doing is just reading ahead, because I'm like, okay, so now that I know when to eat, what do I eat, and how do I eat? Like, it goes into detail on how. Like, it's going to get detailed here. And my husband was shaking his head because I was reading it to him yesterday saying, okay, this is our prescription for what we're going to do for our well-being, for our food and when to eat and stuff. So we're actually doing it, and we'll I'll make sure and let you know how it goes. But you know, the most important thing is that this really, really inspires me and everybody that I hear is reading this to really just reconnect with knowing your own body and knowing, you know, whether what you're eating is serving you or not, and really being able to choose then to make the decision that benefits your well-being, versus that might just satisfy your appetite. And, you know, and it doesn't say there's anything wrong with that. I mean, there's, you know, we're going to eat candy and drink liquor, you know, we're going to do all those things too. But if most of the time we're eating to satisfy hunger, then sometimes eating to satisfy appetite won't be a problem, is what I predict is how this is going to work. So exciting. This is fun. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, obviously you can unmute or let me know. Coach Tina.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, the whole not eating until noon thing, like, that is so opposite of what we've always been told and taught. And I'm like, really? I know for me, for a long time, like, if I didn't eat, I would actually start to feel sick. Like, I think it was like a sugar thing.
Yeah.
Not sugar and like candy sugar, but sugar as in my body, like insulin or whatever. And I would literally get angry and shaky and just lightheaded and not even feel good. But now I'm doing the shakes. So I guess I wanted to ask, is it okay to have a shake first thing in the morning? That's not really eating, but it is. It's nutrition.
Right. But I would think, I mean, food that you're drinking is probably easier to digest than chewable food. So if anything, I would think that'd be the best thing to have if you are going to have something first thing in the morning. I haven't done that in a long time, but there was years that I did. And the first thing I did was have a shake almost in the morning. And I did great with it. Like, it was, I felt amazing. So, you know, to each his own. I mean, everybody won't choose to do, this is like for someone that doesn't have a system or, you know, anything else to go by. I mean, I think using it along with a system, that could be pretty powerful because, you're like including more layers, right, of the puzzle or more pieces of the puzzle. But yeah, you'd have to just figure it out, like how you feel best. Like, do you feel best having it right away in the morning? Or do you feel best if you do wait a couple of hours? You know what I mean? Like, what's your natural kind of feeling when you wake up? Is it to eat right away or no? And just go with that.
Not right away. Like, sometimes it might be like within an hour. Sometimes it might be right away. Like today I woke up a little bit later, so I did make my shake right away. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, to see, take a feel.
I had a doctor tell me, it was a psychologist, he tells me, don't eat. I'm like, what do you mean don't eat? Like, are you crazy? He's telling me, like, not to eat for 2 weeks. I'm like, how could I even survive? I need to have nutrition.
Yeah, that's interesting because, you know, there was a statement actually in this book, in this chapter, and it talked about even if you're like emaciated, like physically emaciated away, don't take that as a sign of hunger. You don't feel hungry, then still don't eat, even though physically you might look like you're wasting away. So, wow, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, people have gone for long periods of time without eating.
I'm not doing that. I looked at him like he was crazy and he knew it. He's like, you're not going for this, are you? I'm like, no.
And that's where, like, doing something like that wouldn't work for you. If you don't really believe that would work and that's necessary, then it's not going to work. You could go without eating and still not going to work. Because in your mind, you're like, no, this is not right.
So how do we know if it's hunger versus appetite? Like, how do we know that?
Yeah, so some of the things that it talked about that is more appetite, that you know that it's appetite, is it will be for specific things. It'll be at certain times of the day that are repetitive, like similar times a day. Hunger doesn't strike on a regular basis. Hunger is based, again, on your body needing the food. So if it's at a certain time every day, that's a sign that it's appetite. If it's serving you, what it is, what it is that you're actually craving, or having the want for, and then if you've built up the appetite, what have you done physically that day, and has your body worked up a hunger versus appetite, to repair. And I have to go through the list.
I know when I did my program before, I had the mindset then, and it worked, because I had the mindset, and it's all about mindset. I know that. But I would drink a lot of water, and if I felt like I was hungry, I would just drink water, and that would go away.
Yes.
And I'm not drinking enough water right now too, so that's another factor.
Yeah, I've heard over and over that drinking enough water definitely makes a difference.
Interesting.
It is very interesting. Just the way, because then later on, I like want to jump into everything already. It talks about like issues, and one of the issues in the next couple of chapters was indigestion, and how that's a sign that you're eating for appetite versus hunger if you have indigestion a lot, because it's, again, you're putting things that your body's not able to process correctly or efficiently, so then it gets backed up, and then you get indigestion. So interesting, just so interesting to me. Like, yeah, I love it.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy. But yeah, I know, it's all good stuff.
Then I've been reading the Think and Grow Rich too, and that this last chapter was the subconscious mind, and oh my gosh, I feel like I've just been in a state of meditation for like a week, reading and watching videos. It's just amazing how much of what our habits are and what we are doing is our subconscious mind, and that most of us think that we actually have that we are making our own decisions, but in reality, if we are struggling a lot, or if we're not getting to where we want to go, there is subconscious stuff going on that a lot of times we don't even notice. That's the thing too, is we don't even, because it becomes such a habit. It's just like a neural pathway that's just stuck like that. I think of frozen water and how it needs to defrost to get going again and get in the right paths again. But so interesting to me.
Yeah, that's funny that you said that, because I've been in I don't know, for the last week or two, I just have been not wanting to do what I'm supposed to do. And it's not because I don't want to do it, but I was thinking about this morning, I really just feel like I'm shutting down, because every single thing that I'm trying to do is not working. And even on Melody's class on Wednesday, I even, that topic was she always knows what I need to hear. Because I had just said that day, should I just go back to accounting? That's just how I've been feeling. And I think it's not because I don't want to, or I don't believe that it's going to work. I think it's just that constant, doing it and not getting the results. That's really been bothering me a lot. So definitely subconscious, though.
Yes. Yeah. And feeding yourself. And that's, one of the things that I kept reading over and over again, is how, you can't dictate what you want your subconscious mind to focus on, but speaking to your subconscious mind is, what we do every day with our I am statements, and with the meditations, and everything, all the resources we use. It's we have it all. so putting it into practice again on a consistent basis is definitely like, I was reading my I ams this week, and I've been writing I am statements based on the God memorandum, like just going through it, whatever I'm inspired to make. So I hadn't actually gone into the I ams and or the power in words in a good couple of weeks. And it's crazy how quickly those things start to come back and get into your speech again and get into your mind again. It's something we got to keep doing every day. Hello.
Hi.
Oh, it's okay. I couldn't hear you. She said she's sorry she screamed in the video, in case you heard her.
I didn't hear you.
Good. All right. Very good. Very good.
We have a birthday party today we're going to go to.
Nice.
I'm just ready.
I hope you have fun.
They'll have fun.
Can't wait for the cake.
Oh, yeah, of course. The cake.
Or cookies.
Oh, careful, buddy.
Hi. Hi. Hi.
Here we are.
Oh, strong. Look at those muscles on you. Wow.
He's pulling his arms up too.
You guys are strong. Wow.
Oh my goodness. Y'all are
You have my choice.
Yes, so I'll
You have my choice.
oh yeah, I'm gonna turn off the recording now that I just realized it was still on.